The technologists and developers will be designing and developing the application to meet the requirements, and the testers will be evaluating what the application does, or that it at least meets or effectively meets the requirements. When defining performance requirements, they should be listed in order by priority. There may be conflicting goals at some stages, so the highest priorities should be addressed first. Keep in mind that performance requirements should be kept within the context of the organization's business. Match up the performance goals so that they address specific business goals. Define performance goals that can be measured. If it cannot be measured, there will not be very much value in testing it. Also, define performance goals that are in line with industry standards. Create specific criteria so that you know when goals have been achieved. Not all performance requirements have a pass-fail criteria, so for some, you will have to base a passing grade on varying degrees of success. Let's grab this question here. It says, and I find this interesting, if the project is nearly complete and performance requirements do not exist, how can I conduct performance testing? So the honest answer to this is you really can't. The purpose of performance testing is to verify that the product conforms to the defined requirements. However, that doesn't mean that it's too late to put performance requirements in place to test against. The unfortunate situation is that it may require modifications to the software in order to get the application back in line with the newly defined requirements and, of course, the business needs. But once the requirements are defined, then you can create a test plan. You can conduct the performance testing according to that test plan. Okay, let's move on. As any project progresses, the functional requirements can change. Performance requirements are also subject to change due to compelling business needs or in order to accommodate other business units. It is imperative that the team have an effective mechanism and a clear channel of communication in order to be able to adjust performance testing objectives to continue to match the new goals and requirements. Business development and testing teams should be able to collectively make most of the major adjustments to priorities and strategies, maybe even specific tasks and success criteria. As changes are made, ensure that enough time is allocated for the team to make good performance-related decisions, while changes are still easy to make. The methods you use to communicate, plans, prioritize, and changes are not important as long as you are able to adapt those changes without requiring significant rework. Okay, I do want to briefly address what I call the anatomy of a performance testing effort. So let's just go over this fairly quickly. It says, well, it all basically starts out with requirements. There must be performance requirements or goals that the application is to be developed against and tested against. Okay? Only then can you move into the discovery. And the discovery is evaluating the user scenarios, the user roles, the transactions, the data for testing, and so on, so that you can put that into a test plan, or at least some sort of document that's going to guide your testing. The information gathered drives the development of automation scripts. Automation scripts are used to replicate the end-user activity or whatever the consumer activity is that uses the application. This is followed by testing, or load, as it's often called. Measurements and analysis are then the key to understanding the capabilities of an application. These will be indicators of performance. The response time compared to user load, the user load compared to system performance counters. Performance testing is generally iterative. Tuning and adjustments are made to the application and environment based on the results of the testing. Then the tests are rerun to validate the modifications and updates. Some of the components to consider during performance testing. Let's start with software. Application performance is affected by the way the code is designed to handle memory, utilize the CPUs, and interface with other subsystems. It is not reasonable to assume that code that is not designed for performance can be greatly improved by augmenting or tuning the OS or the infrastructure. Okay, then there's the host applications. Operating systems, application server software, databases, all these must be properly tuned to achieve maximum potential performance of the overall system. The hardware and the infrastructure. Bandwidth is a critical component. The traffic must be able to make it into the systems in order to be handled and responded to. Appliances, meaning devices like load balancers, SXL accelerators, and so on, must be properly tuned to handle sufficient load and traffic. And then the hardware, meaning the server hardware, the storage hardware, all of these must be sufficient in capacity and size to handle the volumes of traffic and data. And then finally, it's the consumer or the end user. The number of end users, registered or concurrent, the amount of traffic or transactions, and the required response time. Alright, in conclusion, the cost and embarrassment associated with the lack of performance testing are evident. It's fun reading about some of them in the news, but you really don't want to ever be the one that is making that news. There is generally a lack of understanding of what performance requirements are and what they are intended to address. They should really focus on the business that is to be conducted within an application. Every organization has a role to play when it comes to application performance. Business analysts define the goals, development builds to meet those goals, and testing ensures that the developed product adheres to the goals. IT is in a position to help organizations understand the importance of application performance and the requirements-driven performance goals and objectives. You are the only one in a position to help yourself. If the performance of the application is poor, even if no requirements or goals are defined, IT generally takes the blame. The bottom line is that clearly defined performance goals and testing can dramatically reduce the business risk of deploying new and upgraded business-critical systems and minimize the chance of a high-profile failure in the public domain. Alright, it looks like there's time for one more question. It says, what if performance requirements are not correct? Well, if you're the business owner and you think that the requirements are incorrect, then it's up to you to redefine and revise the requirements that will better fit your business needs. If you're developing or if you're testing, well, it's not really up to you to decide. The requirements should be based on market space that you're in, the amount of business you intend to conduct, service level agreements with third parties, entities, and other things like that. So in closing, I think our time is up. I would like to thank everyone for joining today. I know that application performance is important to everyone within your organization. If I can leave one thought with you, that is to have everyone within the organization do their part to establish performance requirements. It will make the testing and validation portion of your job much easier to achieve if you have specific objectives driving the testing. Thanks again, everyone, and have a great day.